I had one mission in mind.
Party like a madman and get drunk with as many people as possible. LA, Vegas, Moscow.
The weather's good and the women are hot.
What the hell did you just do?
Nobody had high hopes for me.
I'm 24 years old, sleeping on the floor.
I wanted to learn as much as I could about business.
You're not going to make $1 billion on this thing.
I never would have imagined a billion years.
No one gets to be this rich without a lot of luck. It was the craziest thing ever.
We were kind of the YouTube of the start of the internet.
All it took was finding the right thing.
Every day I look in the mirror and, I just make sure I don't pitch myself so I don't wake up.
As long as I can remember, I was hustling. I remember going to my dad while he was playing poker with his buddies.
I was like, Dad, I need a new pair of Converse, right? And he's like, I see those, those shoes on your feet. They still work, right?
When you have a job, you can buy whatever you want.
And I'm like, Dad, I can't get a job. I'm 12 years old. And
One of his buddies that had to be drunk was sitting at the poker table with him. And he goes, hey,
I got a job for you. I'm like, what? He goes, I've got these boxes of garbage bags and you can go sell them around the neighborhood.
and then you can take the money you make and buy your sneakers.
And I'm like, cool. They cost me $3 for a box of 100.
I sold them for $6, but it went like this.
Hi, I'm your neighbor, Mark. Do you use garbage bags?
You sound like a Shark Tank.
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly. And of course, everybody uses garbage bags, so I'll never forget. I'm making $20 a week, which was like big time. And I got my shoes and
That was my first business, the world's first, probably only, garbage bag door-to-door subscription company.
that taught me to be confident. And that taught me that I could sell. And that taught me that selling was helping, not convincing.
Mark has been an entrepreneur from the moment the word was invented, before it meant drug deal.
My dad used to always say, I don't understand what you're doing, but I'm glad you're doing it.
Business just made sense to me. It's just a language that made sense and was easy for me. I just think I've always been wired that way.
I'm curious to know, because from everything that I've read, you don't come from an entrepreneurial family, right?
Not really. I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in Squirrel Hill area of town.
My grandparents came over from Russia. Their name was Chubaninsky. And when they got to Ellis Island, they were like, nah, chop, chop, chop. And it ended up being Cuban. This is where I grew up. This is where I played basketball, where I traded baseball cards. It's where I'd ride my bike down and wipe out, try to ride my bike back up and barely make it. I grew up in a working class family.
We had a one-bedroom where my brother Brian and I and my parents lived.
My mom did every type of job imaginable.
My dad had various jobs and then ended up working for a long time doing upholstery on cars.
He worked six days a week, left at 7:30 in the morning, got back at 6 or 7 o'clock.
But yeah, we're a traditional middle-class, blue-collar family.
You must have been a good student or found
No, I was an okay student. And I got B's and an A every now and then, but I just didn't really try. I realized that high school wasn't my jam and that I wanted to learn as much as I could about business. I started taking classes at night at the University of Pittsburgh when I was 16. And then when I was 17, I dropped out of high school altogether. And
I saw a list of the top 10 business schools, and the cheapest was Indiana University.
I saw this, I went there, I'd never seen the campus. The only things I knew two things about it that were important to me. One, it was ranked one of the top 10 undergrad business schools, and it was the cheapest of those top 10. And two, the underground college encyclopedia, whatever it was, ranked it as one of the top 10 party schools. I'm like, bam, it's on. And so
I went to register for senior level business classes.
so that my senior year I could take freshman level classes and party like a madman. And then I ended up sneaking into the MBA program because they thought, okay, this kid's in here, he must be here for a reason. They let me take everything else. And I realized, okay, I can handle this. I can compete with the older guys and girls.
So when I was 18, I took graduate level statistics. And then by the time I was 19, I had a year and a half of my MBA done.
Until one day, the dean of the School of Business walked up to me in campus at the beginning of my junior year going, "What the hell did you just do?"
He starts poking me in the chest. "I don't know how you did it, but you are no longer in this MBA program. You can't just walk in and take classes because you want to.
You are not an MBA student. Get out of here. We're kicking you back to undergrad."
So I had to transfer all my MBA credits back to undergrad and use those to graduate.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I had to pay for my own school. I needed a job. I like to dance. I always liked to dance. I was okay at it. I was out dancing with some friends at a club. Somebody saw me and they're like, we need you to give disco lessons at our sorority house. Cool, how much are you gonna pay me? They're like $25 an hour. I'm like, yes. I got to go to a sorority house who then referred me to another sorority house who then referred me to another sorority house. It was the happiest time of my life. The place I would dance, we would throw parties there, but that bar was going out of business. I took another student loan, $1,500 I think it was. I went to my friend.
He was at my house one day. He was calling banks to try to get a loan so he could buy this bar. So on my way out, I said, hey, Mark, if you have any problems getting that loan, just give me a call. So I ended up late 1979 loaning Mark $15,000 so he could buy a bar in Bloomington.
We said, okay, we want to take over the bar. And I don't really have much cash to give you. I want to turn it from a disco into more of a rock-oriented dance and hangout and party bar.
In my over 35 years of teaching, I've never had a student really start a business while they were an undergrad or an MBA here on campus.
I was able to take over the bar and effectively buy it. We took all the disco stuff out, put in the best sound system and stereo system that we could find.
And so there were lines everywhere, and it was the hot spot on campus until we had a wet t-shirt contest. Turns out one of the girls was 16, but she was on probation for prostitution at 16.
It's pretty common knowledge around town. An underage girl won a wet t-shirt contest.
I thought she was a junior in finance, you know. And that got us closed down.
And so I think that hurt the future of the bar, let's put it that way.
A bunch of my buddies had come down to Dallas and they were like, you gotta come down. The weather's good, the economy's really starting to hop, and the women are hot. I'm like, I didn't hear the first two. I'm like, I'm coming, boom, right?
I'm on my way.
Yeah, I came down to Dallas because of Fun, Sun, Money, and Women. A bunch of my buddies from Indiana were living in the village. You know, like, can I just crash on your floor for a little bit, right, till I get a job?
I'm living in a 3-bedroom apartment, 6 guys, I'm sleeping on the floor.
Piled your clothes in the corner.
In the corner, yeah.
I have towels that stand up on their own, you know? It is just the grossest ever.
Got a job working at night as a bartender / barback.
Then got a job working for a company called Your Business Software that I worked at for about 9 months till I got fired.
I worked for a guy named Michael Humecki. And then one day I had a big sale.
And I had a customer who wanted me to come out there and close a deal. And it was a $15,000 deal, $1,500 commission to me.
And so I went in and I said, Michael, I've got this big deal I'm going to close. And he says, no. I'm like, Michael, he goes, no, you're supposed to open the store. It was a retail store.
And one of my responsibilities was to come in, sweep the floor, wipe down the windows, and open the store.
So I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to go and pick up this check, and I'm going to hand it to my boss, Michael Humecki, and he's going to be all excited because he's got this check. This is, you know, a small business. I come back, he fires me. I take my check back, put it in my pocket, and take that customer.
And started a company called MicroSolutions.
And I'm 24 years old, still unfortunately sleeping on the floor.
When we talk about new companies and growth and success, there really is only one common ingredient.
I couldn't afford my own PC, and so I would tell a customer that, you know, I'll learn the software, I'll install it, and I'll support it for you.
Whether it's oil or computers or software or anything, and that key ingredient is customers.
Let me take your PC home so I can learn it, but I'll make sure it gets done.
I would say, okay, here's the business. I understand your business. Let me write the software for you. And if it works, you pay me. And if it doesn't work, you don't.
Without customers, whether you're starting a business, running a business, expanding a business, you don't have a business. There is no business. Customers are the key ingredient.
And then slowly but surely, I just added another customer, another customer, another customer.
So I want to thank each and every one of you for coming today and serving on my panel of experts in customer satisfaction.
7 years later, I sold MicroSolutions. We sold it for $6 million.
$6 million bucks. You're 29 years old.
And I retired.
And you retired. And what did you do with that money? Your biggest purchase?
My biggest purchase, I bought a lifetime pass on American Airlines, and I had one mission in mind.
I wanted to be able to go to as many countries around the world as I could and get drunk with as many people as I possibly could, and I was so good at it.
Literally, I would go out with friends and we'd go, go drink in LA, fly to Vegas, fly somewhere else, let's go to Moscow. Okay, let's go to Moscow. I mean, I don't know why I stopped that, but it was fun.
Life was good. I never thought I was going to work again.
Cheney fakes, fires, and hit! Albert!
Then one of my buddies from college, Todd Wagner, sat down with me, and this was in 1995.
You started a company with Todd Wagner called AudioNet. What was it? And how did you translate your passion for IU basketball into a business?
Back then, when we'd want to listen to games against our rival, Purdue, we would get somebody in Bloomington or Indianapolis to put a speakerphone next to a radio, and we would do the same thing on our end, and we'd be drinking and cheering and yelling.
He sat me down, he said, look, I've got this idea where I think we can listen to Indiana basketball, sporting events, anywhere in the world by using the internet.
There's no audio or video on the internet. There will be eventually. Let's figure out how to put audio and video. Audio first and then eventually video. And so literally there was no place to get audio or video online.
It didn't exist. This thing that we now call streaming that everybody does, it was nowhere.
So Mark and I just basically said, let's find out if this is a business or not.
So I bought a Packard Bell computer, got an ISDN line, which was broadband back then, 128K, set up a website and figured out how to send audio over the internet. And initially what we would do, we went to some local radio stations and said, we're going to hook up an 8-hour VCR with an 8-hour VCR tape.
Connect it to the audio board and it would record 8 hours.
Then we're going to encode it to put it in a digital format.
Then we'd put it on this website called AudioNet.
And we're going to see if anybody cares.
And it just blew up. I mean, literally within days, we couldn't handle the traffic.
Soon after, some people came out with software to stream live. We integrated it into AudioNet and started going out and locking up deals with radio stations and sports teams.
And we were streaming them on demand, and where we could get whatever we could get live. We streamed the Super Bowl first. We streamed the World Series first. The Final Four first.
And so all the initial streaming that ever happened on, for the most part, happened on AudioNet. We were kind of the YouTube of the start of the internet, and we just grew that and just dominated audio and video.
That is the birth of AudioNet, what eventually became broadcast.com.
And this is all in 1995, 6, 7, 8.
Then you go back in there and all they did was have all these servers with all these different sporting events going on and people trying to keep the servers up. You're like, what is going on in here? They're planning a nuclear strike.
On July 18th, 1998, we went public and we're guessing, what's the stock going to open at? And I was the high. I'm thinking $33.
The first trade pops up and it was, $63 or whatever it was. I mean, it was just through the roof.
It was the IPO heard round the world, a stock that shot up 249% on its first day of trading last week, breaking records, creating instant fortunes, and leaving the rest of us asking, why didn't I buy that?
I will never forget talking to Mark about, where are you going with this broadcast thing? And he goes, I'm going to the BBC, Billionaire Boys Club.
All of a sudden, I'm worth $300 million plus. And I'm sitting there thinking, oh, fuck. If this stock price triples, I'm a billionaire.
You're not going to make $1 billion on this thing. I mean, you're going to make $100 million. No, dude. No. BBC, dude. That's what I'm doing.
Two internet companies are satisfying their urge to merge. The rumors we told you about last night turned out to be true. Yahoo is buying broadcast.com in a $5.7 billion stock swap.
I remember Mark and I going into the conference room and basically just saying, look, we're where you guys need to be. So you're either going to have to compete with us or you're going to have to buy us because we are big players in where we think the internet's going to go.
And Yahoo said, we know that multimedia is the future and you guys are dominating. We want to buy you. We're going to offer you 28 million shares of Yahoo stock for all your outstanding shares of broadcast.com. And we did the math and everything, and we're like, and it was $5.7 billion. And I'm sitting in the room going, that's not enough. He goes to me, well then we're walking. And I said, that's a great offer, we'll take it. Boom. Seriously. And I looked at Todd, he goes, yeah, we can live with that. Boom. Shook hands.
We sold, and then right after I sold, I did something called a collar, where I sold calls and bought puts to protect against it going down.
And that put was for 6 months, knowing that it got me to the point where I could hedge all my Yahoo stock.
And right after I did that and mentioned it, I went on CNBC and they're like, don't you feel stupid? You know, the stock is up another 30%.
Even people who worked for me, I told everybody, and Todd listened, some people did, some people didn't, because every single person who had worked for us for more than a couple months was, at least on paper, a millionaire. And then, you know, the bubble burst and it went, and, you know, it's unfortunate, a lot of people got crushed. But, you know, because I had hedged everything, I actually benefited in some respects and came out further ahead.
And the rest is history.
You are the poster boy for success in the dot-com era.
Or luck, one or the other.
Or luck. Tell me what it is. I mean, what is it that, how do you measure this whole experience, this ride that you have been on since you put together broadcast.com?
Let's put it this way, I don't let anybody pinch me just in case I might wake up. I mean, it's just been amazing. I mean, I think some hard work, a lot of good fortune put together.
What makes it work is like, everybody's got ideas, right? And most people just think, oh, it's my idea and I don't have this, right? The people that get it done, they don't look at the obstacles, they look at the opportunities.
You just have to try different things, and even if 99% of them fail, you only have to be right one time.
And if you put in enough time and you get really good, I'll give you a little secret, nobody quits anything they're good at.
But if you don't try, and if you don't go out there and try all those different things, you'll never get that one time.
Because it's fun to be good. It's fun to be one of the best. But in order to be one of the best, you have to put in effort.
Life is half random. There's half you have some level of control over, and half it is what it is.
But the one thing that you can control in life is your effort.
Never in my wildest dreams did I think I could be worth $1 billion. All it took was finding the right thing.